Welcome to another episode of They've Been Doing It All Day, Sir. I'm Chris.
And I'm Ben.
God, it's hard to be a Manly fan at the moment. There's 7-minute meetings happening on the beaches. Let's get stuck in.
How's your week been, mate?
Yeah, pretty sound, to be honest. Nothing drastic. Just, drying away the tears of another poor Manly performance.
It's terrible. After coming back from Newcastle last week, we didn't think it could actually get any worse, and it has. It has got worse. It's everything that's going on, the circus at the moment surrounding Manly and the media. It's just absolute chaos. But get up to anything over the weekend? Anything interesting? Manly played obviously on Friday, so we had a Saturday and Sunday to
cooked a lovely lamb roast on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
It was good. It was good. Made
another
some
culinary skills with Chris.
Yeah, made some lovely gravy with it as well. Like it was top notch. Lamb was really nice. And yeah, do you know what? Just on the trip on Friday, I'm really starting to dislike the RSL. I'm starting to get a lot of bad memories at the place.
There was that one geezer behind us, weren't there?
Yeah,
he
was just a knobhead.
What was it?
He just shouted. He had a really annoying voice as well.
When they went over for their second try, and it did look dubious as to whether it was on the line or not. He just kept on saying, "It's on the line. It's on the line," for about 10 minutes. It was so annoying.
Like they would be able to hear it. And go, oh, actually, Mr. Bloke at the DYRSL pub.
Shout a bit louder. They might hear you up in the bunkers.
Yeah, in the bunker. We were there for the Euro 2000 with the 2024 final as well.
Yep.
And yeah, just not seeing a lot of good things at that place at the moment.
No, we haven't been there recently much, and maybe we should avoid it. But yeah, it's certainly not a place. Well, it is full of good memories because we've had a fair few pints in there, but it isn't when it comes to watching sport. Although I did mention yesterday, didn't I, that DY Hotel has just got a 10-metre screen.
Might have to have a pop in and see what that's all about.
Yeah, but reflecting on last week, one of our opinions actually went a bit wild about Australian winters. We had quite the reach and engagement on that. Yep. So we thought maybe let's live up to the stereotype because there was a few comments that are saying our typical whinging Poms. Yep. And yeah, we do like a whinge. So I'll own it. We own it. We'll own it. But anything that you want to whinge about this week?
Just full disclosure. Sorry, we love living in Australia.
We do.
Let's get that out there. But there's some things that do grind our gears, or go into the whinging Poms of the podcast. Now I've been travelling a lot back into the city, and I'm back on the trains. I think I've mentioned this before, but it's a thing that does my head in constantly, and it's been an issue that I've found over here, especially getting into central Sydney, is people just don't let you off the train. You'll pull into a station. It'll be packed on the outside. It'll be packed in the train. You're trying to get off, and people are trying to push on, and it's like you're having a scrum trying to get off.
As soon as the doors open, it's like every man for himself. Even on the floor. So I use the metro every now and then, and even on the floor, they've got the little guidelines marked out of where people getting on the train need to stand to let the people off, and there'll be like 2 people on the platform.
Yeah, doors
open, they're right in front of you, and you're like, why are you standing here? Where's your patience? Why can't you just wait until people get off so you get on? Yeah.
That's my whinging Pom moment of the week.
Yeah, I fully agree. But I mean, look, we can refer back to London. People do have a bit more etiquette when it comes to the tube, but I think it's more ingrained because the tube is maybe the most accessible form of transport.
And to be fair, I can't really push both ways on the tube, can you? Like,
it's pretty cramped.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that one. Although I haven't really experienced a super packed train over here, which is nice. It's something that I often experienced in London, travelling around. You get on it 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. You wouldn't be able to get a spot,
you avoid it.
And you'd be waiting for a couple of trains after. Whereas the only time I've really experienced it here is coming back from the Accor. Actually, getting on and off there is a bit of a nightmare. But even then, it was still a bit spacious. But yeah, I know what you mean. The impatience of people getting on the train, certainly something that grinds my gears. So yeah, that's our whinge for this week.
Whinge of the week, yeah.
Whinge of the week indeed. But let's get into the fixtures. Not many this weekend, only 5. Only 5 fixtures. So we'll take a dive into them. But let's start off with our performance of the week. Who are you going with?
I've gone for a sort of a combination of players in this one, and just what their work ethic did. So I've gone for Kieran Foran and Jayden Campbell for the Titans. The reason I'm saying that is because of their defensive effort.
Yeah.
They completely shut down Luke Brooks and DCE. They were firing up from the line by very much frustrating. I was joining old mates screaming at the telly. And I'll talk about it a bit more in the game, but they shut down Manly's attack, especially after that first 5-10 minute period where Manly looked like they were going to run away with it. They defensively shut it down. And I think that pairing needs a shout out for it. Obviously, you've got a lot of other shout outs, but I thought I'd bring in something that might have gone under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why I've gone for that one.
Yeah, I've gone with someone from the Dolphins, and if I'm honest, the Dolphins probably could have got the performance of the round anyway, and they have been for the past 3 rounds, but can't look past Jack Bostock, 4 tries. Some people don't like the arrogance of when he was going 1, 2, 3 as he was running over, and they believe it added a bit of juju to then when he dropped his 5th. But to score 4 tries, I thought was outstanding performance. He's in incredible form. Going back, I think it was last week or the week before, his ability to leap off the ground, his ability to finish, just be in the right places at the right time. Getting 4 tries, hell of a standout performance, and it could and should have been more. I think he was the age-old adage, if that's the right saying, of he thought he had scored before he'd even caught the ball. So he took his eye off the ball and dropped it, but great performance from him. And then we'll move on to our flops of the week, and they both come from the same team.
Yes. I've gone... It's a bit of a rogue. I wouldn't say rogue. Wouldn't say... Might be a bit of a shot one, but I've gone for Tom Trbojevic because I don't think he should have been anywhere near that field on Friday. So it's more of it can be a dig at the coaching staff, or it could be a dig at himself as well, just his mentality of trying to get him out on the field. I love you've got to admire the bravery of it and wanting to help the team as much as I can, because you watch that game and I don't think he sprinted once. He was behind the defensive line as well, and he was a couple of steps away. He just looked out of whack and just looked like he shouldn't have been on the field.
Even I can't even remember which try it was over in the corner. It might have been Saab who crashed in, or whoever crashed in, and you'd expect the fullback to be there to clean up anything that goes out wide, and he was miles off it. He was nowhere near it. It was easy in the corner.
Which could have been a reason for Manly's issues defensively, is because they had a fullback who wasn't where the fullback is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the team had to carry him a bit, which it's not fair on the other 12. Like, absolutely love his heart, his ability when he's on is incredible, but I just think that whole him being on the field on Friday just is a bit of a flop of the week.
Yeah, and I'm just going to talk a little bit more about Turbo, because, we're going to go through kind of how people have gone and how teams have gone throughout the season so far in our opinions. But we've been supporting Manly for 3.5, 4 years. We've not really seen Turbo at his absolute prime. And it's one of those things that every journalist keeps saying, without Turbo, you can't win without Turbo. You can't, Manly won't do anything without Turbo. But for me, I've never seen Manly with Turbo, and I've not seen him to the heights of what he got to in 2021. And part of me thinks he's been playing 10 years now. His best is probably past him. Like, what is his new best? Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know what his new best is. There's times where we see him with great support runs, brilliant ability to be able to pass the ball, but I don't know. There's rumours that he's going to come back in the centres as well. Which
I've seen that. What was it? The Cowboys last year, he came back in the centres and was just
for one game. Yeah,
incredibly ineffective. But we'll see how if it adds a little bit more of a sureness in the defensive line, then
If we run plays like we did against the Panthers, where Kohler comes around from the other centre and runs an underneath line. If we can do stuff like that and be more creative, then maybe, and there's maybe a rotation that can take place between him going back and stuff like that. But for me, he looks like an individual that is struggling a lot at the moment. Yeah. He wants to do his best for the team, but his body just kind of isn't there. Yeah. We've mentioned it before, must be psychologically so challenging for him as well, thinking about how can I help this team, but not performing to the best I can. My flop of the week, I feel a bit harsh for this one, but
hope he's not listening because I reckon he'll be hunting you down.
There's a few things that go into this. So I've picked Haumole Olakau'atu for my flop of the week, and it kind of stems from something that happened the week before against Newcastle. Tried to offload the ball twice against Newcastle, and one of them threw it straight to, I think it was Dane Gagai. He might have thrown it straight to. He done it again this week, and all he had to do was hold on to the ball, drop to the floor, take the tackle, play the ball, away we go. Instead, tries to offload it, they get the ball, and it eventually led to the Titans scoring. Then a misery compiler, right? So you think he's absolutely trucked Kieran Foran.
Yeah.
He's sent him into the ground. He's still making the tackle as he's hitting the floor. He's hit him that hard. Unbelievable. You think he's then just going to go over for the score. Not only does he drop the ball, he dislocates his shoulder and is now out for 6 weeks. So an absolute misery compiler through fumbling the ball and then dislocating his shoulder. It's harsh, but I think the impact that he can have and the performances he can put in, I think that's why we hold him to such high regard and how much respect we have for him. I think the performance at the weekend multiplied by losing him for 6 weeks and some frustration.
That's now 2 weeks in a row. One of the key players injured themselves trying to score a try.
That's a very valid point.
It's madness.
It's a very, very, very valid point. And look, he is a beast. I would hate to tackle him.
He's animal. Absolute animal.
Kieran Foran ain't no. You got him defend like as a performance of the round, and he put him
on his ass.
So bad. Him. But yeah, so they're our flops of the week, and again, we might have our manly bias glasses on because we're so disappointed with how it's going.
Yeah.
But let's kick off with that game then. So let's dive into it deeper. Titans 28 defeat the Manly Warringah Seagulls. A simple question: what is going wrong? What is going wrong?
I reckon I could have a good 2-hour rant just about this game and pick it to pieces. And that's no exaggeration because I don't normally. So we very much set the standard at the start of the year of we don't leave games early and we're there till the very end. It's now getting to the point where we're getting so frustrated. Not only are we walking out of games early, I've stormed out of a pub early, which is something that
I think we left after the 78th minute, 68th minute in both games.
I was like, done, I'm gone. And a point I want to bring up about the Titans actually is I have never seen a rugby league team park the bus and do it so effectively.
Very true.
Like, it was incredible how they just sat there and just absorbed everything and then just hit Manly on the counter and scored another try late in the second half. I was mesmerised by it.
Yeah.
Like the mental capability of being able to just absorb that pressure after pressure after pressure and being so disciplined was a credit to them. But in saying that, Manly's attack is so one way and so I'll let you talk for a little bit because I could genuinely have a good 15, 20 minutes without even breathing.
Well, I was listening to Triple M on the way over here, and the way I think it was Brent Reed that was talking about it. Garrick scores seemingly comfortably after 4 minutes. Manly go 4-0 up, misses the kick, and then he's missed the next kick as well. His kicking hasn't been great recently, but you think, Manly are just going to put the pieces together, be creative, just blow away this Titans side. As soon as we score that try, we sit back and just one-dimensional, just trying to go through the middle, no creativity, no flair. Saab dropping simple passes, He's 60 metres out, and yes, he's got legs, yes, he's got gas, but is he already thinking, if I catch this, I've scored? Because he drops the ball, and it just deflated everyone. And there were so many little mistakes. There were so many errors, just poor creativity. Kicking game wasn't great from Cherry Evans. He was getting shut down. Like we said it in the second half against Newcastle, you could see that as soon as the ball went to either Brooks or DC, they're bringing in a defender one over that was coming down and blocking off the next receiver. And Titans must have seen that and gone, we're going to do that. And we saw it from early, and it was like they didn't know what to do. No creativity, and we just had no plan B. And it was terrible. Like, the frustration levels were so high during this game. Yeah, there's a lot of talk going on at Manly at the moment as well. Like we said, 7-minute interviews going on,
which hasn't gone down too well from all accounts.
No, a few people have not been too happy with kind of being told where your weaknesses are instead of with. I think what I heard on the radio as well is that it was no solutions. It was all just where your weak areas are. The media speculation is going to be rife as well. Like Seabold potentially is under pressure, but apparently he's safe, and then they reckon that's like a curse, saying that someone's job's safe, like publicly coming out and saying your job's safe because it means your neck's right on the chopping block. Do you reckon Seabold's going to last to the end of the season?
Nah. Like, we've talked about issues with the players, but a lot of it comes from up top as well. And one of the things that was doing my head in is the Titans were bringing up, as you just said, Foran and Campbell, and shutting down, instead of like waiting for the centre to get the ball, they were shutting down the pivot, the key part of it. They were just shutting off the supply to that straight away. Brooks and DC were taking out the game.
No one had the balls to run forward.
Not even that. How you can sit at a height, see what happens from the defensive line as well. It shatters.
Yeah.
And go, right, we need to introduce some dummy runners here to take away, or we do a little chip in behind because the fullback. Because the fullback was nowhere.
Was it the Rabbitohs that did the chip in over the top against the Bulldogs? Yeah, I think it was the Rabbitohs. Chipped in behind because they saw the fullback had come up and scored.
Yeah, but it wasn't even that. When Foran was diving up, there was a massive hole in behind because the line was all over the place. And there was just nothing. How you're sat up a height and you can't see that. I was watching it in the DYRSL, 4 pints deep, and was able to pick up on that. And I'm 3 years into an NRL watching.
It's an armchair NRL coach.
Massively. And how a professional coach can't get a message down and go, right, next time we attack that way, just put a little grubber in behind. And then talking about DCE's kicking, I have never, ever, ever seen a professional rugby player, both codes, use the inside of a foot for a grubber kick. Yeah, Big Mark did it the other week, but that was the score. That was to score, and that was a ridiculous.
You watch people come with the receipts now, just showing you.
Oh yeah, whatever. But the whole point of it is normally off the top of the boot, where you just let the ball drop onto the top of the boot and it just dribbles through. He side foots it and sends it back to the Northern Beaches.
It goes out the back and they get a 7 tackle set. It's comical. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. This is the problem with it.
Yeah.
And we'll go on and talk about how we're going to rank Manly's season. Titans, fair play to them. You can only play what's in front of you. Like you said, they parked the bus, sat back, attacked when they needed to, and were just more clinical. And they were just better.
Yeah.
They were just better than Manly. So yeah, not much good go. I think.
No.
Said it earlier. I think there's a bit of soul searching going on at Brookie Oval.
There needs to be, because the talent's there. On paper, the players are there.
We'll go for our mid-season review in a bit, but we have a squad to finish in the top four.
And again, it's mad to think from what we thought of him as a player at the start of the season to now. But Jake Simpkin was missing.
Yeah.
He was dropped from the bench before the start of the game, and he brings a faster edge. Croker got run over a couple of times as well, which I haven't seen a lot of Simpkin this season, and I don't know as
Did Tavanga get knocked out this week or last week?
No, he knocked himself out this week as well.
Right, yeah. So we lost him, and not having Simpkin on the bench then messes things. Things go from bad to worse, don't they?
Yeah.
But anyway, let's have a look at the other 4 games, and we're going to go over them briefly because we want to get on to our little mid-season review. Dolphins, though, they're absolutely on fire. What is it, 158 points they've scored over the last 3 games? Cowboys missing their origin players, but they absolutely blew them out of the water.
Oh, ridiculous! It was just constant. It was I was listening. I was getting towards the end of the game. The commentators were like, "Yeah, this could be a cricket score." With 6 minutes, like in the last 10 minutes, I think they scored 3 tries.
It could have been 70.
It was mental.
It genuinely could have been
more. It's like the last 6 minutes they scored 2. It could have should have been 3 because of the drop before the line.
Yeah.
Every time they attacked, it just looked. They just
looked like they were going to score.
Yeah.
It also is a very young very young Cowboy squad.
Yeah.
And Todd Payton afterwards ripping into him. There was images coming out of the dressing room with everyone just sitting around and him just chatting. And part of it, you're looking at it and you go, all right, like enough of the chat. We know what we've done wrong. We've just got 58 put on us. Need to chill out a bit. But, I mean, Herbie Farnworth scored again. All right, it was Nicarima that gave it to him on a plate. Some people say that was a bit not play on. But what's your thoughts on it of offloading to... I'm going to say this. They gave Josh Papali'i a kick, which I think is more of a piss take than giving someone a try to continue a streak.
It's you know, it's fine. I'm okay with it. It's at the end of the day, it's a try's a try. It's like what was it in the going back, changing it in the Prem, the English Prem rugby final. Finn Russell
threw it back inside. I can't remember the name of the guy, but his dad had played for Bath, and like Finn Russell was through. And to be fair, it was quite a difficult pass. it wasn't the easiest one. And he's looked so far inside to see him.
He's
as
like proper barn owl. His head to be able to throw it back. But you know, it's good to it's nice to have those things. And like you say, Herbie Farnworth is on the absolute streak of his life. It's Jamie Vardy-esque in the 2015-16 season.
For anyone that doesn't know the reference, Jamie Vardy scored in 11 Premier League games in a row to break the record, and he'd done it against Man United and Robin Van Persie, I believe. Was it Van Persie?
Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Ruud van Nistelrooy, held the previous record of 10. So I wonder how many we're going to see in a row from Herbie Farnworth. And the annoying thing about this is I've bought tickets for my son and myself to go and watch Manly against the Dolphins as his first experience of Brookie Oval. I couldn't think of a worse proposition now of taking him there. But
let's just hope he brings a bit of first
game good luck.
First game good luck, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But next one up, Sharks defeat the Dragons, 30 points to 18. I don't know what to make of the Sharks.
Nor do I. They're more frustrated. Well, I imagine Sharks fans could be in a very similar situation to Manly fans in the sense of, well, you can bring in the Roosters as well. Just the inconsistency. Manly are obviously taking an absolute battering at the moment, but the Sharks, on paper, I think a lot of people tip them to be top four or just outside the top four, and that first half was dreadful.
They only won this game because of mistakes from the Dragons as well.
I was just about to say, if it wasn't for the absolute air raid at the start of the second half, which Gutherson had an absolute mare back there, and so did the two.
Sloan. He was the one that dropped it, and then Trindle, I think, came through.
Yeah, so that was an absolute unreal rip off the floor. Or no, the one that was...
Sloan jumped up, and it bounced out of his hands, and then Braden Trindle just goes in for score. Nicarima ran a powerful run, and who's it?
Was it this game where they absorbed the kick off the one of the players went to kick it and he absorbed it off the ground and then just ran it in? Or am I can't remember. I can't remember either. But you know, it was that air raid killed them, and the Sharks ended up just running away with it in the second half.
Yeah, Dragons started well. Like I thought it was going to be a potential positive result for them, and then, like you said, completely different Sharks team in the second half. But it was more mistakes from the Dragons that led to the Sharks winning this game. But an interesting event over the weekend in the Bulldogs Rabbitohs game. Obviously the Bulldogs ran out 24-18 victors, a lot closer than I thought it was going to be at half time. Well, in fact, it wasn't even at half time. The Bulldogs were dominating the game up until, what was it, the 34th minute?
Yeah, they looked like they could score 50, 60 in this game. They were just every time they went forward.
And I was sitting at home, and I live, 20 kilometres away or something from Homebush. From Homebush. And I thought there was a possum running on the roof, but it wasn't. My wife went, I think that's thunder. I was like, nah, that's not thunder. Anyway, turn around, look at the screen. Players being taken off. There's lightning in the distance and it's pitch black over top. But on that, have you ever had a game stopped for a significant period of time or a sporting event stopped due to unforeseen circumstances?
Yeah. Very American football, I think, again, for Lightning. I think we were playing London Blitz B at home.
At Finsbury Park? At your game?
Yeah, up in Sudbury Hill. And I think it was it was either for Lightning or it was the day of the Euro 2020 final. And they used our field as a landing strip for helicopters.
Yeah.
So whenever a helicopter was landing, we had to stop the game.
That's a bit of a strange one, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure that was the reasoning why. Because every time a helicopter came into land, we had to stop the game just in case.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But some big serious injuries as well. Some big sort of tib-fib breaks that have sort of stopped the game, just waiting for ambulances. And within the UK with American football, you'll be well aware is every game has to have a first responder medic or an ambulance. If the ambulance goes,
you have to wait
for that to either come back or a new one to arrive. Which, to be fair, the safety aspect of it is really good.
Yeah.
I think the cost of having it over here would be far too much, unfortunately. But no, that's probably about it. What about yourself?
Similar. I've had one for Lightning. I was playing, funnily enough, the London Blitz at Finsbury Park in North London. And obviously in American football, everyone's running around wearing metal face cages. So you can't really be running around when there's lightning happening in the distance. So we had to pause, I think, for about 10, 15 minutes. And you know what? I actually lost us that game thinking about it. We lost 8-2 against the Blitz. I was punter for some reason. I was like fourth string punter. And pouring down with rain, I've gone to catch the ball to punt it. I think I've done a Jason Saab actually or a Bostock. I thought I've got the ball before I've caught it. Boom, gone straight through my hands, out the back. They've dived on it, scored one play later, and we lost the game 8-2. That was one example of where we were called off the field. And then the other one similar to an injury when I was playing Colts rugby. So what's that, under 17s, I think, in the UK, Colts? Or is it under?
Yeah, under 17s.
Under 17s. We were playing in a tournament in Bristol, in Clifton. Real nice pitches. And on the kickoff, one of their guys was running downfield. Our fullbacks caught the ball, running forward, and he's just stuck his leg out. Oh, I don't know why he's tried to tackle him by sticking his leg out. Anyway, there's this almighty snap. Everyone's like, that didn't sound good. And then you walk over, and if you're squeamish, maybe turn down the volume. There was a bone sticking out of sock. And he went into shock immediately. Like, had to put so many like coats and jackets over him because he was just shivering. And similar sort of thing. We had to wait for an ambulance to come, and then another one to come back because it's quite bad. But other than that, nothing really exciting like helicopters landing or any evacuations or anything like that. So but Bulldogs just doing what they do, grinding out victories. I thought Toby Sexton had a great game.
Yeah, he did actually.
Looked real good. Galvin, he strengthens this side. He
brings such a class, doesn't he?
He does.
And I think we touched on it last week. It's just good how he's been brought into it as well. Like he's in the middle of the celebrations. Like he's being dragged in. Everyone's. I think for Sexton's first try, I think Galvin had offloaded it or had drawn a bit of pressure or something, and everyone was like giving him a high five for it before going and celebrating with Sexton. And it's just nice to see those little things, especially when a new player comes in.
And I heard something earlier that was quite funny. I can't remember who was saying it on a podcast, but it was like Bulldogs fans were giving it large, like they're going to go on and win the Premiership. Nothing's guaranteed, and also you've just beaten the Rabbitohs. Let's woosah a little bit. Let's calm down. But on to the last game of the weekend. Roosters 12 defeat the Knights 8. Now, Knights, decent defensive record, like they're the third best team in the NRL defensively. But again, Roosters side, not quite. They lost a lot of players or influential players in Origin.
I feel like this is a similar thing you can bring it in is if you go to. I don't know if you've ever been, but like if you've ever been to Stoke away, and it's just a boring, shocking game. It's like I remember one game we played Stoke at home. It was like one of the first years I had a season ticket.
I've been to a 1-0 Stoke game actually.
It was 0-0. And on the radio on the way home, they were chatting to someone at the BBC, and they were like, "Yeah, our highlights person is going to really struggle to get 45 seconds worth of highlights for this." For match of the day, and I think Gary O'Connor missed a header, and that was about the highlight of it. Do you know when you're just watching one of those games where it's just full of calamities, the refereeing just doesn't do anything as well, adds to the issues, and then you've got one team who should be absolutely flying through and ripping the other to bits, but the other is just standing strong and just hoofing the ball into row Z every 5 minutes.
And the Roosters should have battered the Knights. On paper, They should have. Do you know, you've reminded me, I went to Fulham versus Leicester, like Fulham's last game at Craven Cottage before it all got seated. 0-0 draw. Like, it was diabolical. And it was like hyped up for this event because it was their last game at the old Craven Cottage. Yeah. And it was absolutely terrible. I think I fell asleep during it. But yeah, so interesting part of this though, this game, the try, talk about I can't remember who went over and scored it, but down by their forearm, downward pressure by their forearm.
Right. Then why wasn't Alex Quartu's a try? Because it was on his it was touching his wrist.
So he had the ball in his fingers, right? Olaquatu.
Yeah.
And it comes out of his fingers, but he's still got it on the palm of his hand. And then he puts downward pressure on it. What's difference is that to someone missing the ball
and then downing
it with their forearm? So the inconsistency around what a try is, what a try isn't, is a bit. Maybe we're clutching at straws here because
probably. Well, like I say, you need to be hiding around the northern reaches now after you've said that. So,
but
yeah, you keep
according
digging.
to the rule book, this try was a try. Like there's no ambiguity and downward pressure on the ball. But it opens the question, like, what if someone puts downward pressure on the ball with their upper arm?
Yeah,
is that a try?
Is that a try? But they've got no control. Like,
if their shoulder, if they fall on it with their shoulder, is that a try? I don't know.
Crack? I don't know. And that's why the refs ref, and they sometimes they just make it up as they go along, don't they?
They do, but Roosters got away with one here with that. They weren't exactly on fire. Tough win, left it late. They were 6-0 down at half time as well. 2 late tries in the second half of the second half. So I don't think we can take anything from this game from them. Got to wait till
it's just
their origin stars are back. But let's move on to a little mid-season review, a little report card for mid-season. We're going to start from. We're going to go in the order of the ladder. We're going to go bottom to top, and we're going to rank them A+, A+ for being absolutely overperformers, A for above expectations, B or C for kind of where we thought they'd be, and then D and F for just absolutely terrible.
Okay.
We've got to try and woosah on the Manly front and see how we actually think they're doing. So let's kick it off with the Titans.
This is quite a funny one because when you look at where we thought they would be, you'd probably rank it as a C because I think we had them at the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, look, they've got 4 wins so far this season, which I think is about where they would be.
Yeah.
I thought they'd be spoon contenders. They'd be down there with the Eels, Tigers. So I'm going to agree with you. I reckon it's about what we expected.
Where we saw them.
Yeah.
We didn't see them setting the world alight. So you can't really put them in that DF category. They're achieving where we thought they would be achieving.
The only thing that's going against them, they started really well against the Bulldogs. They didn't win, but they scored 20 points against what is a solid Bulldogs outfit. And their back 3 looked electric. Like they had so much pace. So maybe you could say they've underperformed in that sense. But for me, I think they're about where we expected. So I'm going to go over C grade.
Yeah, you dined out on that actually for a few weeks.
Well, they were winning games. When
it came to your points predictions, I'm thinking back, you did.
They beat whoever the Roost. No, it's the Knights or whoever it was. I said they'd beat, and they did. Eels.
Right, Eels. I think this is definitely a D. For them, from my perspective, I thought they'd be in that sort of mid-table fight. But again, it's quite hard because you look at the league. Yes, they're 16th, but they're 4 points off the 8. It's not that much of a massive disparity.
Yeah.
I thought they'd come in a little bit higher, sort of just outside the 8 in that sort of 11th, 12th, and they've shown real good promise with the likes of Moses being back, Lomax being at Addo-Carr absolutely on fire. I'd say they're underachieving of where I think they should be.
Yeah, I agree with that. They've not had Lomax for a number of weeks at the start of the season. Moses was out for a bit. They haven't really had the combinations. About where I thought they'd be. But let's see where they go from here.
Yeah, and then we got in 15th what we've just described as the Stoke of the NRL in the Newcastle Knights. What's your thought process around this?
I think they've underperformed. Defensively, they've been very good. So this is the difficulty with the Knights, right? Defensively, they've been very good, but in attack, they've been absolutely terrible. Granted, they stuck 28 points or whatever it was on Manly, but they've got one of the best fullbacks in the league who hasn't performed. They've got although they've just reinforced their wingers with Dom Young re-signing. But for me, I'm going to go for a D for the Newcastle Knights. And then the South Sydney Rabbitohs. You predicted this lot to be quite high in the pre-season.
In the eight.
What are you going to give them at 14th?
Again, they're 2 points outside of the 8. Like they're 2 points away from 6. Like it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've had to overcome a lot of issues within that. They've lost a lot of key players like for a prolonged period of time. So they've been Latrell Mitchell-less for a long period.
Cam Murray is out.
Cam Murray. Alex Johnson was out for a little bit as well. Yeah. You're losing.
Well, Kalama Tungi's now out with a fractured eye socket as well. Yeah. I know this isn't previous, but Gamu looking forward.
Yeah. So, did we mention Cody Walker?
No, he was out for a bit of hamstring, wasn't he? Yeah.
So they've had and to keep churning out results. They're 6 and 8, which isn't too bad, and they're getting there. So I think it's harsh, but I'm going to put them as a D.
Yeah.
Just because I thought they'd be performing around that 8 and sort of comfortably within that 8. In saying that, they've had sparks of being sort of a C, B grade. So yeah. And then just above them, a team that we both thought would finish a little higher than the previous year, West Tigers.
Yeah, interesting one. So you've got to take it on face value that they're wooden spooners for the last 3 years. And I'm going to rank this of up till now. Obviously, it's only half a season. I think it'll be very interesting to see where they finish at the end of the season because they've got some difficult fixtures coming up. Ironically, then, Manly have got them as their next game. Not sure that's a difficult one, but we'll see. They've won 5 games, lost 8. They've been competitive in a lot of those games, which is what they weren't last year. Currently sitting 13th in the table. Luai performing okay. Like, I don't think he's had the impact that he'd want to because he hasn't got the supporting cast around him. They've had to go through a hell of a lot of shit with the Galvin saga. For me, though, I'm going to give them a B. I'm going to rate them as a B for the season just because they have been back-to-back spooners.
Okay.
So I think they're performing above kind of what I'd expect of them. Okay. And then just above them, in 12th place, we've got the Dragons.
I've got them at a C. I thought they'd be around this position, to be honest. Again, they're a team that have had glimpses of being a very good team in the sense of when Val Holmes, Gutherson started to settle in.
They've improved kind of a little bit week on week and then setback and then we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so they're there or thereabouts of where I thought they would be this year. Again, you can't really go D, F. It's where we thought they'd be. So yeah, C for them.
Yeah, sounds good.
And then
I've got the pleasure.
Try and keep this one as sort of quick as possible if you can. Manly Warringah Seals.
Difficult, right? Because top 4 squad, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. So there's some caveats to that, though. Some significant injuries throughout the season. So losing Toff Sipley, snapped Achilles early on.
Paseka.
Losing Taniela Paseka early on with a snapped Achilles is one of the big losses, which didn't realise how it was going to affect us. Affected us massively. Lost a big powerhouse through the middle. Josh Aloiae, shoulder, might have to retire at the age of 29. Another big loss from a powerful forward. Turbo, constantly injured. Kind of expected it. Jake Trbojevic, not really performing to where he's got to in the past and had a few head knocks as well, which has had him out for a few weeks. We've had Tommy Talau not come back at full fitness. Lehigh Hopawati knocking himself out. It's been a clusterfuck of a situation. DCE derailing the season, how he's come out and stuff like that. So given everything, if Manly were fully fit and fully healthy with the odd injury, I'd say F all day long. But given what has happened throughout the season, I'm going to go for a D.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's.
What would you say? Quick fire.
You raised some very good valid points there. And it is true. Manly have missed a lot of their sort of key players in key positions. But one thing I can't overlook is the lack of creativity and lack of plan B. You can have the best players in the world in a squad, but if a team works you out and you don't know how to adapt and you don't know how to change, you're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to slide more towards, because of that, towards an F personally.
Yeah, fair.
Which, you know,
there's arguments for.
Yeah.
Like we do look good defensively as well, which maybe props mine up a bit to a D. But yeah, I could happily agree with an F.
I don't know, not after that Titans game.
Yeah, true. But you're only as good as your last performance as well, I suppose. Cowboys, what you got them?
Cowboys. I think I had them just finishing in bottom of the 8. I think. So again, just a point outside of where I thought they would be. They came to Manly, first game of the season, got absolutely thumped. But then they've gone away, put in some decent performances as well. Jayden has been very good at times, and probably those performances are the reason why he's now starting in this Origin team, in the Queensland Origin team. So in saying that, I'll probably give them a C. Again, just exceeding about where I thought they would be. There's that brain farting performances like against the Dolphins, which you could argue to expect, where that inexperience crept in, and then they've had some absolute worldly performances as well. So yeah. And then just above them, everyone's favourite team to talk about, Penrith Panthers.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest and easiest F of the whole season so far. Everyone expected them to be fighting for a top 4, another championship, the team that they've got, the squad that they've got, but they've started the season was absolutely diabolical. They look good in Vegas, but beyond that, there's not much really happening. If it wasn't for the teams around them being inconsistent and terrible, then I think they would be further down the ladder. They've been somewhat saved because of the inconsistencies of the teams around them. But for me, up to this point, they've had an F of a season, but moving forward, you never know what could happen. So I'm going to have to rank the Panthers as an F. And then the Roosters, just above them. What are you saying for their season?
Roosters. I'm probably straight off the bat C. I think I had them just outside the 8 because of that. I thought they'd have a bit of a nothing season. I think I remember my words being around them. And in saying that, they've shown glimpses of being a top 4 side, but then shown glimpses of being a bottom 4 side, which accumulated to that point where they're sort of probably fluttering around where I thought they would be. So going from that, probably another C or maybe a B, because they are in the 8 at the moment, and I thought they'd finish outside it. So probably, just leaning towards a B slightly.
Fair.
Over that.
I'd agree with that. They lost a fair few significant players as well before the season, so I'd agree with that one.
And then above them in 7th, this is quite a tough one actually.
It is.
Brisbane Broncos.
They had a rubbish season last year, and you expected them to bounce back. New coach, Michael Maguire, hasn't had the impact that he thought he was going to have. Apparently, rumours around like things aren't great internally. So it is a difficult one because of the season they had before. It's not an absolute failure this season, but I still think by their standards and the squad that they have and the talent that they have, that this is a D for the Brisbane Broncos. I thought they'd be easily challenging for the top 4.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with D for the Brisbane Broncos. And then up next, their Queensland rivals, the Redcliffe Dolphins.
I think if they're in the 4, in the top 4, I think it would be A+.
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas they're just outside it. I'm saying that they're 6 points outside it. I think it's an A.
But if they were to have their more buys, there would only be you can't really judge the table on where it is because of the buy system.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, as I said, it's insane. I think they've very much exceeded expectations. They've had some young halves come into the game who have very much lit it alight. I think Katoa has been incredible.
Yeah.
This season, which has really helped. Old mate from England, Herbie Farnworth, has had an unreal season. So yeah, I think they're our first. Is it our first A?
I think it is our first.
Is our first A? And yeah, I think they deserve that actually.
Yeah, fair.
And then just above them, Cronulla Sharks.
Another difficult one because had high hopes. I think we both picked them around 4 or 5 at the start of the season. Maybe pipped to just Manly being in the top 4 in our predictions. I don't know where to put them. I think they've had an okay season. Don't think it's been spectacular. They've been very inconsistent. Looked good through the middle, like with Fanua Blake. But for me, I mean, they're in 5th. It's got to be a good season if you're in 5th place. So I'm gonna have to go a B for them, I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe between a B and a C. You can't be indecisive.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they have been a letdown, but they're currently sitting 5th in the table, so That's can't fair. Have been that bad. So I'm going to go for a B for the Sharks. Okay. Interesting one. What are you going to say for the Storm in 4th?
Ooh, I think I had them finishing top. They are in the 4 and only 2 points outside. It's one of those. So my initial thought straight away was D, because
they've had 3 buys, by the way. They've had the most buys out of
an extra 6 points. So that would put them down into 6th if the season. But then.
Well, let's take 2 points off of them. They wouldn't be as close to the top 4 as it is.
So we'll work out like that. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for a D, just because they have shown signs of why I think everyone predicted them to finish top.
Yeah,
like at home they are a different beast, which is a great team to watch, and they've absolutely unlocked teams. But then there's some shocking performances in there as well.
Yeah, I agree.
And they just sometimes they just don't seem to click at all. Like, they get over there because of the talent within the team is dragging them. And you can see Craig Bellamy absolutely losing his shit.
Yeah.
So I think because of that, because it's not consistent out of the whole season, and the 3 we're about to talk about now have shown that to a certain extent.
Yes.
I'm gonna give them a D actually. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then into the 3 that are just starting to form their own little league. First, the New Zealand Warriors.
I'm going to have to give them the first A+ of the ladder, I think. Lost Sean Johnson. Didn't really have what looked like a replacement for him. Luke Metcalf comes out of nowhere, absolutely carving it up. Nickel Clockstat seems to be getting meters on meters on meters each week. Tuivasa-Sheck starting to get into it. Wateni Zelezniak's back scoring. My reservation about them was they weren't able to put points on, but doesn't matter when you're beating teams. Doesn't matter if you're beating team by 1 point or 50 points. You're still winning games. For me, 10 wins out of 13 games. A+ for the New Zealand Warriors. Up the wars, so it seems. If you don't go for anything other than what I'm thinking for the Canberra Raiders, then you have lost your mind. But what are you going to go for the Canberra Raiders?
A+++++++. I had them finishing like mid-table, like massively out of the 8.
Yeah.
By God, I'm happy I get to talk about the Raiders, because as I've said a few times, I think it's they're very much the team I've enjoyed watching outside of Manly.
Yeah.
They have just clicked at every position.
Yeah.
Kyle Weeks has been instrumental. Fogarty, Ethan Strange has had a season to really talk about.
Yeah.
Second rowers I know he's injured now, but Matty Nicholson, Hudson Young, they have just been threats. Xavier Savage, like you just go through their starting lineup and you can say they've had an unreal season. They had a blip against the Manly when Manly were playing well, and they are exceeding, I think, a lot of people's expectations with us. So I think I'll give them the second A+.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, the Bulldogs, difficult one, top of the table.
Okay.
Top of the table. I'm not going to give them an A+.
No.
I'm going to give them an A. They've massively exceeded expectations, but I think they've let themselves down in recent weeks. They got battered by the Dolphins, although it was an origin game, and they didn't look overly impressive against the Rabbitohs. There's a little bit of unrest maybe with the Galvin signing, even though it looks all shiny on paper. Like there's still people competing for positions with Reid Marnie, what looked like he was in the sheds, upset. Yeah, I think I'm going to give them an A. If they were to continue like they did for the first part of the first half of the season, A+ all day long. But I think just recent weeks knocks them down to an A. But just to sum it up, it's a tight competition. Even from 6th all the way down to 17th, 4 points. 4 points separating them. Yeah. So we'll revisit at the end of the season, do a bit of an end of season review, see how people get on. But let's get straight into round 16, tipping round 16. And thank the Lord, Manly get 2 points this week.
Yes.
We don't have to tip Manly. But kicking us off on Friday night, we got the West Tigers, $3.22 against the A++++.
Yep.
Canberra Raiders at $1.35. This one's down in Campbelltown.
Yeah. I don't think there's really much in it, to be honest. Canberra Raiders. They've come off I think they were on a bye last week, weren't they? They've come off a bye, not lost anyone to Origin, Hudson Young, sorry.
Yeah.
Only really lost Hudson Young to Origin. And I don't think because he's an instrumental part of it, but their halves are still there. Jerome Luai is going to be backing up, which is going to be a big thing for him. So I just don't see them really stopping the Raiders, if I'm being perfectly honest. Yeah,
I agree. I think the Raiders get this one done. Can't see them losing. Tigers ain't great at Campbelltown. Like they've only won a couple in the last 25. Friday night, Raiders get it done. It's going to be a cold one in Sydney, but it's nothing that the Raiders ain't used to. Being from the nation's capital. So Raiders for me.
Yeah, and then the first game on the Saturday, Warriors at $1.25 against the Panthers at $4. Who are you going to go for?
For me, this one's quite easy. Ivan Cleary's come out and said that the Panthers Origin players aren't backing up. Yeah. There's no way they're going to be able to get from Perth to New Zealand, have sufficient rest, and be able to get it done.
It's like 10-hour flight.
Yeah, exactly. Like significant distance. So I'm going to go with the Warriors on this one. I think the Warriors get this one at home, get it done quite comfortably. It's in Auckland as well. The crowd absolutely love it in Auckland.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's much more to add on that point. I think they'll absolutely steamroll them, unfortunately.
But the Wars. Then on to Saturday early evening, 5:30 p.m. We got the Dolphins at $1.25. Interestingly, this one's being played in Perth. Okay. So backing up the Origin game in Perth, we got the Dolphins at $1.25 against the Newcastle Knights at $4.
Yeah, nice for the hammer.
Don't have to travel far.
Doesn't have to travel back. I think with the way that the Dolphins are going, I think they're gonna win this. I don't think it's going to be a blowout because, as we've said, the Knights can be quite strong defensively. They never stop defensively, which is one thing you do have to give them is they don't stop for the 80 minutes.
Yeah.
They are always fighting and trying to get themselves better. But I just see the Dolphins having far too much for them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that the Dolphins are going to win. I don't agree with that. It's going to be close. I reckon the Dolphins are going to absolutely batter them.
Yeah.
I reckon this could be 40+. I think they're going to continue the momentum. Might be controversial. I don't care. Scored 158 points in 3 games. And it's not like it's against rubbish opposition. They've scored 58 against. I think, and Perth is a fast track as well. Yeah. So I think the Dolphins blow the Knights away in this one.
Okay. And then for the last game on the Saturday, we're at the Accor Stadium with the Rabbitohs at $4.20 and the Melbourne Storm at $1.23.
Interesting. I don't think... So I'm going to say the Storm. I think the Storm win this. But there's some caveats to this. How their Origin players go, whether they back up, whether the Rabbitohs players, Latrell Mitchell in particular, backs up. $4.20 seems a bit long for the Rabbitohs. But for me, Storm, I still think they got enough even with a Latrell Mitchell in the ranks. What about yourself?
I'm gonna flip. I'm gonna go first change, and first one that we battle out, and I'm going for the bunnies.
Fair play.
I just think this is the banana skin that we've talked about for the Storm. In that, I think the bunnies have it in them to punish teams if they're not performing at their high standard. Like we nearly saw it against the Dogs. So yeah, I think they've got it in them to sort of properly put a decent performance against the against the Storm.
Yeah, fair enough. I just remember Jai Graves out. He broke his thumb or something, didn't he, at the weekend? So he's out as well. But up next, we have going up to Brisbane on the Sunday, 2:00 kickoff, the $1.48 Brisbane Broncos against the $2.66 Cronulla Sharks.
This is a tough one.
This is a tough one.
You've got two arguably the most inconsistent teams to play.
Difficult one.
This is a tough one. This is so difficult. I think this could go down to Origin players.
Yeah.
So who is?
Well, the Broncos.
Sharks of
Mams 19. Is he 18th man? No. I can't remember what he is. There's a bit of controversy. So you got
Payne Haas, he's playing Paddy Carrigan. Yeah, I think we've seen how sort of Origin can affect the Broncos. I'm gonna go for the Sharks on this one.
I'm gonna go opposite.
Yeah,
I reckon the Broncos at home will win this one. I just feel that Reece Walsh, what he did, I'm not his biggest fan, but he's still got a point to prove, and he started to show glimpses. Was it not last week, the week before? Stepping off his left foot. Adam Reynolds as well is going to continue on. Yeah, I reckon the Broncos. That's another one we've split.
And then we're at the Allianz, the Roosters at $1.44 versus the Cowboys at $2.80.
Wow, that surprises me that the Cowboys are $2.80. Just going to check and see who's in and out. They've got like Nanai, Bateman's back, Reece Robson, Cotter did, and they've got full strength. And I suppose so have the Roosters. Angus Crichton will be back, Connor Watson, Lindsay Collins. We're preview Origin in a bit, but it all depends how roughed up Spencer Leniu gets off the back fence when they kick to him, hopefully. Roosters. I'm going to go Roosters in this one. Yeah,
I think I'm going to agree with you there. I think the Cowboys have players in Origin in key positions that need to be switched back on. Like the physicality, yes, it hurts, but once you get running around, you get hit a few times, you get used to it. Whereas the mental drain for Jayden, who's going to have to play, is going to have to show why he's starting. And then I guess he has an extra day to most other teams, but I think it's going to be a mental drain for him.
And physical, like he runs the ball for a lot as well, so it'd be interesting to see if he gets roughed up a bit. So who are you going with? Roosters?
Yeah, Roosters.
And then on to the last game of the weekend at the CommBank. Is it a preview of Spoon Bowl? Not too sure. We've got the Parramatta Eels at $2.22 against the Gold Coast Titans, $1.67.
I don't know why the Eels are so low on this, because they've had a bit of decent home form.
Well, I look at outs and it's Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses. That might explain why. Mitch Moses calf, Dylan Brown not sure. So that might explain. I
completely understand why they're quite long now.
It's still tight. It is still tight. God,
do I for the first time this season? Oh, do you know what? I was quite impressed from what I saw against the Titans. I'm going to go Titans.
I can't do it. I can't, because I'm so annoyed that the Titans beat Manly. I don't know whether I want to pick them. I'm just going to cause controversy. I'm going to pick the Eels without Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses.
I'm going to pick the ref.
I reckon Yongi is going to perform well. Lomax, Pedicini, their back three are going to absolutely tear them apart. Adokar's going to have an absolute flyer on the wing. Yeah, Junior Paolo is going to be huge for him. To like, yeah, Eels are getting this one done. The Eels are winning a Sunday Arvo thriller. It's going to be a high-scoring thriller to finish it off.
Love it.
So yeah, we'll keep it going over the weekend, see how it goes. But this episode is going to be released on Thursday. Yep. So yesterday we would have released a brief Origin preview. So go back and have a look at that if you wanna go back and watch that if you haven't seen it already. But a few other sporting events have happened this week. We got the World Test Championships South Africa, the World Test Champions, beating Australia.
Convincingly as well.
Yeah, when I woke up, I think on the second day, when I saw Australia posted them 280 or something like that to win, I was like, ooh, that's a tough challenge.
So it's quite a high, it's like one of the highest run chases in the fourth innings or something like that, which is mad for 280.
Yeah, and then I woke up the day after that and I saw that they needed 80 runs. Yeah. Because Markham had just absolutely teed off 104 not out, I think it was.
Bavuma was a great partner in that, which is, good to see.
I sent you the picture though. Did you see Steve Smith's finger?
Yeah, and I mentioned hopefully that's all of his batting aura disappeared.
Yeah, but I don't know. Does Labuschagne make it into the Australian Test squad for the Windies and the Ashes?
Well, openers as well. Like they're struggling with that. So the only issue we'll touch about the Ashes a bit closer, but I just don't think England have the pace to really be a.
Well, the thing is, when we face Australia, and this goes to show a bit of swing on the ball. Difficult, right? Like they can't really handle.
Yeah, but how much swing is there in Australia?
Well, you've got to hit seams and cracks in order to get the ball moving over here. Like unless you're bowling at 90 plus, which we don't have, not much happens with the ball over here. So the kookaburra it ain't exactly lively. So we need pace. I don't think we've got pace, but we'll preview the Ashes before they come up. But South Africa, World Test champions, first time they've won a major trophy in 25 years.
Yeah, I think they've been the bridesmaid, but never the bride.
Yeah, significant number of times. Formula One though, controversy.
George Russell.
Yeah, controversy though. Didn't Lando Norris
try to take out Piastri?
Yeah. Well, I can't remember what happened because I only saw a clip of it. Was it?
Yeah, he just went to overtake and. Just a stupid move from Norris, to be honest.
Got put against the wall, didn't he?
It was his own fault.
Yeah,
I think he was trying to go. And then I saw this afternoon that Toto Wolff has come out and called Red Bull pathetic and childish for putting in they put in an appeal against Russell for the win, because what had happened is when they were behind the safety car, Russell had slowed down, which then meant Verstappen overtook, and so the leader behind the safety car gets to dictate the pace.
Yeah.
But if you ever watch, Verstappen always pulls in as close to possible to the leader, and then it's a bit of an intimidation tactic. So Russell just put on his brakes. Verstappen then overtook, which is illegal in a safety car, and then Russell sped off and set up the pace. So the Red Bull then put in an appeal around that, and it was just a case of Verstappen being caught out instead of
love it. I love it. Served a bit of his own medicine, but title race hotting up. It appears in the Formula One.
It's getting interesting. It's been a good season, so it's good to see that continue.
Yeah, and then the Club World Cup started on the other day. Chelsea played this morning. They beat LA Galaxy, I think it was 2-0 in front of a stadium that holds 72,000 people.
Yeah.
There were 21,000 people there because it was held on a Monday during work hours.
Stupid.
I don't see the point in. I think this Club World Cup, like I was thinking about, is a great idea in principle. Bring in all the best clubs
during the season.
But it's that pony one. They've expanded it, haven't they? Like they've put in more teams, and they're trying to test it as a pre-World Cup thing because the World Cup's being held in America, Mexico, and Canada. This is only being held in America. I just don't think they've executed it well. No. I think it could have been done a lot better. It could have held a lot more gravitas in terms of actually being the best club in the world. But the way they've done it, pretty poor. Bayern Munich, beat Auckland 10-0?
Yeah.
PSG absolutely romped home against Atletico Madrid 4-0.
Do you know what? I know they paid a stupid amount of money, but I do feel sorry for the players a little bit.
Zero rest.
They are getting nothing, and they'll be straight back into pre-season. They may get 2 weeks off and then straight back into pre-season. It's like if players are having fatigue at the end of the season, you're essentially expecting them just to run back straight into it.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when football's a cash cow. You're a performing monkey for everyone. So you better dance.
Yeah, indeed. And then last thing before we end, the Lions kick off their first game. Yep. They've got a warm-up game against Argentina in Dublin. Don't know much about kind of preparations, just been following a little
Portugal.
bit on, playing golf. I saw Bundiaki using his driver backwards, using a left-handed driver backwards. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see the squad that's picked. It'd be quite a tough fixture against Argentina.
I don't think it's going to be a walkover. Depending on who Argentina put out as well, I wouldn't be shocked if Argentina win. Just especially with how they are as a team, and a lot of I don't know how many of the players that have got to the later stages of the Prem and are going to be there. I think there's some players who are playing for Leinster in the URC finals as well. So I don't know how many of those are actually missing off the top of my head. Who then would be touring?
Yeah, give us a good gauge of kind of what to expect.
It'd be good to see, yeah.
We'll talk about it next week, but we're flying over to Perth next Friday to see the first game of the tour. But yeah, a lot to look forward to. We're hoping, this is being released on Thursday, we're recording on Tuesday, we're hoping that the New South Wales Blues are 2-0 up in the Origin series. But if you want to see our preview for that to see whether we got it right or if we're anywhere near the mark, go back and check the video that was released yesterday for our preview of Origin. But thanks for tuning in for this one, and we'll catch you in the next one.
See you later.